Good morning, YouTube family and friends. It is a pleasant Thursday morning or mid-afternoon. I am working with the elderly gentleman who's a relative of mine, 1995 25i BMW 2.5 liter 6-cylinder inline. So we are doing front and rear rotors and brakes on this one. And this would have your electronic sensors on your brake rotor and your brake on the front and the rear, just one on the front and one on the back to let you know if your pads are worn or if your rotors are worn. So I already got the vehicle jacked up. It's on stands. I already did the left front. We're going to do the right front. So let me explain to you about the sensor. Here's the sensor right here. Okay, as long as the sensor is in good shape, you don't need a new one, and this seems to be in good shape. So we can pull this rotor out, and inside here is where the sensor is, and you can kind of, well, once I get the caliper loose, you can kind of feel how it comes out, or I can take it loose from this point right here. Can I? Yeah, I believe it just twists right there. But anyway, tools you're gonna need. You're gonna need one of these studs. This goes inside here for when you put the tire back on, because this has no room for the rim to hold on, and it just spins. You'll be here all day trying to get those studs in there. So these are on Mercedes and BMWs. You're gonna need that. And you definitely will need this impact driver right here that has a screw. See that screw right there? And I had the screw on there, and I had to bang that several times to get that off. It was real rusty. I sprayed WD-40 on it, and we got these off. And working with older vehicles, you're gonna have that, or either you're gonna have to drill that out. Now this is no more different than the 2011 Dodge or Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo I did yesterday that have these clips on it right here. So once you get the top clip out, the bottom one comes out. The brakes are the same. One rotor faces up, one brake caliper goes on here. The other one clips into the center of that. So when we get to the point where you get some information, we'll get back to you. So to get that spring off, literally, I just put it inside here like this and pull forward, and it popped right loose, and you can see it right there. So that's that part. Now what we're going to do, pull the dust boots off the top and the bottom, and I believe it is a T, where is my ratchet? It is a T45 that we're going to put in the back to loosen that up, and to get the caliper bolts loose here and on the bottom. Those are nothing more than the 3/4. So we'll get back to you when we get to this electrical part. Remember, you want to take a screwdriver and get it on the back side of the rotor, squeeze it in to get that piston in so we can get this caliper off. Okay, so I was right here. You can twist it off and then pull it right through the hole, and it will be into the brake like that, into the brake like that, and you just get a screwdriver and pull up on it, and the sensor comes up, and that's when you put it on the new brake one, the same one. And as I stated before, impact driver, beat, and then this screw comes off. It's really challenging if you don't have this impact driver. And there's the I believe it's a T. Let's see if I can read it through here. Nope. 1/4 inch is what I use. So we take that off. Now we're gonna have to I'm gonna get my headphones, and I'm gonna just beat around here, because you can see all that rust. Beat around here and then hit on the back side of the rotor, because we're changing it, and it should pop off. No biggie. Couple of love taps. Old one comes right off. So now we're going to use my wire wheel And we're going to wire around here, get all that clean. We're going to get all this clean. We're going to use a wire brush, and we're going to get all that clean. We're going to push the piston in. We're going to grease our sliding pins, but this seems to be really, really hard to move. We'll get those sliding pins out. We'll grease them real good, and we're going to wire brush the bracket hole here and here, and we're going to grease them up real good. And we're going to put some grease around here after we get the piston pushed in, so we get our cleaning out of the way before we put on our new rotor. So again, this is just a single piston. I use my single piston retractor tool to push it in, and was watching the brake fluid and make sure it doesn't overflow. So we got that done. So now we're going to take this brake caliper. You just twist that in, it pulls in, and you twist it and it loosens off. I'm going to clean in here with my wire brush. I'm going to get these pins out of here, sliding pins, get them all greased up. I'm going to grease up here and grease up here. Grease the ears where the brake goes. What a difference greasing the pins make. Remember, I couldn't even hardly move that. See what grease does? Now this will be very happy sliding in and out. Very happy. And one thing I always do is grease my sliding pins separately, because on most cars there's a little rubber seal on one, but on this BMW, this bottom one seems to be longer than the top one, so you want to make sure you're doing one at a time. Now, this is another one of the instances in having this stud. It helps me to go over the rotor and push it into place, and I can get that screwed inside there without all that straining, because it's very awkward. So our new one, we just slid the clip right in place, and then it's gonna go through the back of that hole right there and come up through and connect to where it's supposed to. I'll show you when it's all done, but you get the picture. This just slides off and push right back in place. Slides off and push right back in place. You can get a better idea. The brake pad slides in that way and it clips in, and you can see the sensor coming out of the back of that hole. So all you do is just push that back in. And so you see the brake wire is inside there, and it comes up, and this is where it connects to. You just twist it in and then place that back in the cap right there, and you'll be done with the brake sensor, the brake wear sensor. Okay, the anti-rattle clip, you should be able to do it with one hand. You want to get one behind the ear and one inside, and then you get this top one inside, and then you just pull back. Well, can't do it with one hand, but you pull back on this one and then get something to just... So what I was saying is, you get this ear in here, get that one in, and this one will be half in, and you want to push this up behind here and then get something and just tap right here, and then that will go in. I use the end of my ratchet right here, and I just tapped it in place, and that's the anti-rattle. And that's how you do front brakes on a 1999 or 1990 BMW 525i. So now this right here will help me to get the tire on, having that stud on there. This comes off of my Mercedes, which is right there. The Mercedes come with those lugs, because on the Mercedes it's the same place. There's no room for the tire to go on, and the lip will be on here, and it'll just be spinning, and it'll take you a while to get the lug nuts in. So I like to use this little stud right here, and that helps me get it done quicker. Okay, gang, rev it up. Car Fanatic Productions. The BMW, we got the front brake squared away, but we ran into some problems on the rear brakes, and they're pretty much the same as the front. They're just a little bit smaller, not much different. But the problem we ran into, both the right and the rear calipers are frozen. So I went on ahead and told my cousin, and we ordered the new calipers. They'll be here probably Monday. So we'll get into how to change calipers on a 1995 25i BMW. And since we're changing out the calipers, we're going to have to bleed the brakes. So instead of just bleeding the brakes, we're going to end up flushing, doing a brake flush. We're going to just suck the fluid out of the reservoir, pour new fluid in, make sure we keep it topped off, and when we bleed the brakes, we're going to make sure all the old stuff come out until it's clear, and we'll do it at all four corners, starting at the right rear, then the left rear, then the right front, and then the left front, and then we should be good to go. So we'll be looking forward to showing you that there. Until then, God bless. Have a wonderful. And you really shouldn't have no problem which way the brake goes, because you see right here, this is where they got sensors on both of them, but you only need sensors on one of them to let you know if the brake is wearing. So the part where the sensor goes in faces out, and that's going to be on the outer pad and the inner pad. Now we're just going to slide the rotor right over the top, and we're going to screw our sliding pins in, which we got all greased already, and that brake popped in there. And then we already got the brake calipers tightened up, and I got my stud kept on for when I put the wheel on. Okay, YouTube family and friends, Rev It Up Car Fanatic Productions. As we promised, it's Monday morning. We're back with the 1995 25i BMW 2.5 liter inline six, where the rear calipers are frozen. Now they're not frozen to the point where they're locked up. The wheel will rotate, but it's not going to rotate because it's a rear wheel drive. But you can see I got movement in the disc, and these two studs, like I said, are to put the wheels back on. But what it is, the piston is frozen in the back because this is a very old car. I knew I was going to run into problems with one of the rotors, one of the calipers, or whatever, and we ran into problems with the caliper. The piston is frozen all the way to the back because the person let the brakes get so low and ran it that way that the piston didn't have far to travel when you would put on the brakes. And then they put new brake pads on where the rotors are scarred up, and the pistons never moved. They would only move but so far, that's it. They were frozen there. That's on both sides, and it's not the breather line because I had brake fluid coming out of the line, so on both sides. So that's not the issue. The issue is we need new brake calipers. So that's what we're doing, replacing the calipers, and then we're going to bleed the brakes. Okay, so now this is the side with the brake electric brake pad. What do you want to call this thing? It's an electric, not electric brake, but it's just an electric thing that sticks into the caliper to let you know if the rotor or the brakes go bad. So that's what that is. So we told you how to take that off before. It just pulls off through there, and then you get a screwdriver and pop it out. We'll get it out once we get that out. So let me show you how we get this piece off. We take a screwdriver, and I believe I press it in here, and there you go. It comes right out. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I got some channel locks with some rubber hoses on it, and we're going to pinch this brake line so not too much fluid will come out of the reservoir. Now this shouldn't collapse the hose. I'm not concerned about that, but we just want to do it enough to stop the fluid from coming down here, and it'll be less air in the system for us. So we got that line pinch. This is a 14 millimeter. We've already loosened that off. So now we're going to take the dust boots off where there's no dust boots on there. So we'll go ahead and we'll get our, I believe it's a 35 Torx head and a 45 Torx head will get put on here, and we'll get our calipers loosened up. And then we can take our rotors off, or the caliper holder. Let me get that switched. Okay. Okay, we got that one. Let's get the bottom one. And we got the bottom one. So now we'll just take this piece off and remove our pins, our sliding pins, which we greased real good. So I'm not worried about the sliding pins being frozen. That's a good reason your brakes would lock up, is the sliding pins are frozen, but we know it's not the sliding pins. I greased these sliding pins up real good, so she's good in that aspect. Okay, so the sliding pins are out. So now the brake caliper, I can use a screwdriver to, well, it's not gonna do much because the caliper's frozen, but it'll help a little bit. There we go. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just put it back and let it sit right there for a while I go and get the new caliper and bring it over, because I don't want too much fluid to transpire. And I'm going to go and get a bucket because we're going to lose some fluid out of that caliper. As you can see here, the new calipers can easily slide. See that? They're easily slide. And the piston easily slides in the bore. These are not sliding at all, and the piston is stuck in the bore. So that's the problem with that. So now two things we got to do. We're going to take this caliper off. We're going to twist the new one on, and we got to find where that little, there it is right there, and there's nothing blocking it, so we can twist the other one right on. And we want to make sure we got the right caliper. Inside brake, inside brake. Okay, so we're just going to take this caliper off. We've got that line loose, so we're just going to twist it off, and then we're going to twist it on, and we're going to take the old caliper holder off as well and put the new caliper holder on. And the new dust caps are in there, and we're going to put grease around here, and we're going to grease up the brake caliper holders inside there. Okay, so what we're running into on this older model BMW is these brake hoses are completely crap inside. It's not allowing fluid to come through, and I took the other side off as well, and I blew compressed air, and it's not allowing air to go through either way. So you blow in it one way, it blows back in your face. You blow it the other way, it blows back in your face. But when I take loose the steel part from the rubber and I push the brakes in, I get fluid coming out. So it's not allowing fluid to come through to here to push the pistons in. So the other calipers were frozen because these were no good, and the calipers were all the way in and not contracting out. So we won't get these in until tomorrow. These brake hoses, this is the outer brake hose with a male and female end. So that's the female end that twists into the back of the caliper, and this is the male. This is the male end that twists into the back of the caliper. This is the female end that goes into the back of the brake line right there. So in order to get that loose, I had sprayed some WD-40 and let it sit for a while. And on this end is a 7/16 line wrench, and on this end is a regular 14mm socket to hold that in. And you break it loose to the left and you pull this 14 to the right. So tomorrow afternoon, when those lines come in, we'll put them in and we'll get these brakes bleeded. So as you see, we're twisting the brake caliper off from the brake hose. There's a good picture of it. And with that line pinched, we shouldn't have much fluid come out at all. And we're right. Now, all right. So now we got that piston out of there. So now I'm going to clean my hands up and I'm going to screw the new one in. So you saw how that comes out. The new one screws in the same way. Now that we got the old rotor off, or caliper off, here's the new one, and here's the one with the electronic, or with the electric brake motor, or not the electric brake motor, but the electronic switch to determine whether the pads are bad or not. So this is the inside pad, and we want to take it and make sure you slide it down through here like so. Going to slide down through there, come out that way, and you take, let me get some grease and put some grease where it needs to go. So we're going to grease inside here. Remove the pad out of the way. We're going to grease the other side right here. And that'll ensure that we won't get no squealing. Okay, every place that the pad is going to touch. Okay, then we want to take and place our pad. Let me get my hands clean, free of grease. You want to take and place the pad inside. I got to spin it around that way, but, and you want to push it inside. Make sure it clicks and goes in on both sides. not wanting to do it for some reason. So let's pull it back out just a little bit. Now we'll do it again. There we go. We got it in on both sides. So that's how you do it with both hands. And we want to just take a towel and wipe off any excess grease. You can spray it down with a little bit of brake cleaner if you want. So now that we got that pad on, we want to go ahead and we want to twist our brake pad back onto our brake hose. Okay, YouTube family friends. Yeah. We got our male and female hoses. And these are ambidextrous. Don't matter which side it goes on. So, what I'm going to do, take it off from the aluminum side and then pull it out from the whole side, loosen this up, twist it out. Then when I put it back in, I'm going to twist this holes in, tighten that up, and then put it in that way. So as you can see, I loosened it up from the metal side here, which is right there. And all I'm doing, I loosened it up from the caliper and I'm taking it loose. And you can see brake fluid is dripping once I took that line off. So these lines are just no good. So we take the old line off. We screw the new line in. And you can screw this down as tight as you need to, because it doesn't matter. This is going to go on nice and easy. I got to wonder if this is a 14 millimeter. Let me get back. Yes, it is a 14 millimeter. I just had it down too low, too high. I mean, up too high. Got to come down lower here. So that's screwed in. So now the next thing, we're going to screw it back into its metal compartment right there using a 7/16 line wrench and my other 14 millimeter wrench. Okay, that line is in. She's nice and tight. Now I'm just going to open the bleeder valve and see if she'll gravity bleed. We'll just let that sit there like that while we go work on the other side and see if that'll gravity bleed. You know what? While I'm to this side, I might as well just go ahead and bleed this and see if this is going to work. So let's get this bleeder screw back tight. Okay, get my hose over the top of it. Open the bleeder screw up. Now we're going to pump the brakes and see if we get clear liquid going down there. Ladies and gentlemen, we got fluid coming out. Okie dokie. So now we just got to keep the cylinder topped off, make sure it doesn't go empty, and we don't have to worry about bleeding the front. We'll go the other side, do everything other side. But I want clear liquid going down this line all the way down with no bubbles, and we'll be all set. And there we have it. Full liquid line. Just a tiny bit of bubbles right there. So we're going to lock this up. We're going to pump the brakes again, get them hard, then we can come back out and we'll get those little air bubbles out. I am content. There is no air bubbles in there. It's all clean, clear liquid. So that line we can tighten up. Take off and let the fluid drain back down into the bottom. And then we're going to take that wrench off, put that line on, put this wheel back on, and we're going to go over to the other side and do that wheel. And this is the passenger side. of the 1990 BMW 525i, and you see clear fluid, no bubbles. So we locked her back down nice and tight, and as you can see, we got good brakes. Brakes are right there. So outstanding job on that. And that is how you do four-wheel brake discs and brakes and calipers with the rear outer female and male rubber connector wire, brake wire. And the electrical wire was for the brakes. It's just the electrical wire. I forgot what they call them, a solenoid electrical wire or something for the left side of the brakes to tell you where the a wear sensor. That's what it is, a wear sensor. So YouTube family friends, I'm gonna tell you what I dislike. When people post on YouTube they're working on a condenser, they don't give the year, make, model of the car. They don't give you the engine size. I like to give the year, make, model, engine size, as much information as I can, just in case you're working on this type particular vehicle. Now everything I did to this vehicle is a 1990 BMW 525i 2.5 liter inline V6, and I believe this is the M20 model. So there you have it. We did 4 rotors, 4 brake pads, we did 2 rear calipers, and we did the brake hose on both left and right rear, which it doesn't matter, they go on each side. We got fluid to the back. Now we're going to test drive her. We got plenty of brakes, I can tell you that. So I topped the fluid off. Let me get the towel and wipe everything. But I topped the fluids off. We're going to take it for a ride, and then we'll give it back to its owner. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. So we're in her. She's got 298,275 miles. We got the windows down. We don't hear no brakes squeaking or squealing. Nothing sticking. No check engine lights on the dash. She's driving good. Shifting good. And we go to hit the brakes. Beautiful. They release. They catch. Beautiful. Job well done. Rev it up. Must rev it up. Car Fanatic Productions. Like and subscribe.